Hello, everybody. I'm Kim Wah-chung from Hong Kong and now in UK. This is a cool forum on Hong Kong's future. We are going to follow up our last forum discussion on infiltration of CTP in Xinjiang area. And last time we talked to Professor Kumakura, and with Abduweli, for some technical reason, he cannot join us last time. So we are going to follow up on this part, and I think everybody is looking forward to see and to hear what opinion Abduweli would have, because he himself is a Uyghur, and he is now working overseas. I think some people may already know you, but still I would like to spend a few minutes to introduce Abduweli to our audience. Abduweli is a Uyghur poet. I don't know whether I can read your poet or not. Looking forward to that. He also a linguist and an activist in overseas for Uyghur. So welcome to join us this time. Together with me is our co-host Gracia, right? Okay. We are going to have an hour on this, and let me start from giving a little bit background on this. We all know that, particularly in recent years, there have been quite a lot of reports concerning the situation of Xinjiang and in particular Uyghur, and it has been reported that more than 600,000 or even several million Uyghurs have been detained in some so-called re-education camp in Xinjiang. Some youngster or children have been separated from their parents. There are systematic strategy to damage the traditional culture of the Uyghurs in Xinjiang. Of course, there are denial from officials from China. So this time we are going to talk about this from an insider angle, because Abduweli himself is a Uyghur, and I suppose you keep connection with some people there. So this time we are going to have the discussion for about an hour on this. And to start with, I would like to put forward a question to see how Abduweli would react to that question. Some people in recent years heard a lot about the situation of Uyghur and Xinjiang, but some people still doubt about the real situation there. Is that as well as what have been heard from different medias? So I would first like to invite Abduweli to talk about something. How do you react to those accusations of CCP, for in particular those measures they are taking to make damage to the traditional Uyghur culture and to deprive the freedom and the way of living of Uyghurs in Xinjiang?
Thank you for having me, and it's really natural, a different reaction for what's reporting and what's going on. Of course, we can have different understanding for the same event, for the same reality. And I can understand people have different opinion about what's happening in Uyghur. And the problem is there are Chinese communist side that try to create imaginary story, that create a fiction about Uyghur. For example, that the story they are telling to the world that nothing happened and Uyghurs are living very well. And in 2019, Xinjiang Daily, I think Xinjiang Daily, they had written that the happiest Muslim in the world are Uyghurs. Uh-huh. The story is interesting, but it depends on your criteria. Like if your criteria put millions of people in the concentration camp and let them happy, you can do that because they are in the camp and they don't have any freedom to express. They are not happy. They have to be happy. Then you install the camera every corner of the land, and then every 200 meters there is a checkpoint, and ask them to be happy. Of course, they should be happy. And because they don't have any choice to be not happy, to unhappy, to express their anger. But the problem is, like in 2019, I did the survey in Turkey. I collected 4,557 cases. Those people told about their family members. Look at those stories, and I hope those stories were wrong. I hope all of them are not sad or happy. But the problem is, the reality we are facing, the story we are collecting, told us that yes, people are not happy. Not even not happy that in 2020, like one of my friend, he did the study on Uyghur. More than 1,000 people participated that study. That 78% of Uyghur psychologically not normal. They are not living in normal psychology. 87% of Uyghur, like according to his study. And how can we say that those people are in that abnormal situation not because of the oppression in China against Uyghur? So like they are different understanding, they are different even in Europe and even in the United States, according to different ideological background, people have different understanding. That's understandable, but deny the reality and create superficial reality, it's not we want to see. And I hope people who are listening to us and who are observing what's happening should listen to different opinion, but they should have their own decision, their own opinion about what's happening. And I don't hope anyone to believe us, but I hope they should see the reality as not as a politician, not as ideological someone, just as a human being. If you are a father, how can you bear that 900,000 Uyghur kids separated from their family living in boarding school? If you are a kid, how can you imagine that 100,000 of like elderly citizens stayed at home without their kids' care? Because like in Uyghur society, it's not popular that we don't send our parents to like Yanlaoyan in Chinese, like the
elderly homes.
Elderly homes. We don't do that. We have the culture that we take care of our parents by ourselves. And I'm thinking that what happened to those elderly citizens and how are they living? And another thing that like most of the detainees are males and young laborers. And if the society absent young labor forces, and how the society support himself, it's a lot of like perspective, and we can understand the reality different way, but we shouldn't deny the reality, and we shouldn't create a fictional reality as the Chinese Communist Party.
On top of what you just told us, which is very tragic and very disturbing to know, they're not only putting people in camps, but they are putting people in camps so as to break down or destroy family structure so that the Uyghur community wouldn't work as the way you guys wanted it to work or how it should work at the first place. Can I ask, like, all the findings that we have seen? Of course, both Kim and I are very convinced that these things still exist and Uyghur people are suffering immensely in those camps. But are the reports or the research on this topic, are they capturing the whole picture? Like recently, the Uyghur Tribunal found that beyond reasonable doubt, there is a genocide taking place in Xinjiang because of all the forced sterilization and all the human rights abuse. What is your view on that? Do you think what you are experiencing or what your people are experiencing are technically genocide? And do you think the world is responding well enough to that there's a genocide that's taking place in Xinjiang right
now? I think it's a genocide because according to International Genocide Convention, that like deliberately displace the people from their original land. Yes, it's happening. Like now, there are in just only one city, Shenzhen, in 2020, they transferred 50,000 Uyghurs. Just that one city. Now, 18 provinces, there are Uyghur prisoners and the forced laborers are working. According to ASIP, Australian Strategic Institute, 80,000 Uyghurs transferred to Chinese provinces. This is displacement. This is dislocation, like transfer those people in majority and let them disappear in the majority society. That's happening. And then separate the family. For example, that like the kids separated with their family, that's happening. Now, all of the schools are boarding schools in East Turkestan. Like kids from 4th grade to the high school, they have to stay at school. Some places, even extreme, they put those kids from kindergarten age, from 3 years old. Some places like in Kashgar and in Khotan, and in Artuch, those places, they started from the kindergarten. But some cities like Turpan, Kumul, Urumqi, those places, they start from like 4th grade. You have to stay at the boarding school. Look, like all of the kids are in boarding school and they have to speak Chinese and they cannot practice, of course, they cannot practice their culture. And according to the Douyin, we have seen that those kids not only studying Chinese, they are studying about Confucius 2,000 years ago. Chinese government want them to be Chinese, but not as modern Chinese we are living with. Let them become the Chinese that not exist in this society, existed 2,000 years ago. Look, how can we bear with that? How can we say that it's not a genocide? Because genocide, it doesn't only mean massacre. It's different concept. Massacre and the genocide, it's different concept. Genocide, geno means ethnicity, like target and ethnicity. It's a genocide. These people separated from their kids and their kids grew up as different people, as different ethnic group, as different human being. And not like, just imagine that, how can they communicate? I can tell you one vivid example, like my brother, Erkin Ayup, he's in detention. He's sentenced 14 years old. And he has a granddaughter. The granddaughter couldn't speak Chinese, couldn't speak English. She already couldn't speak English. And well, no, she already couldn't speak Chinese. No, I'm sorry. She already couldn't speak Uyghur. And after 14 years, my older brother released. How can he communicate? Just imagine, there are 100,000 of people who are sentenced for a long prison term. After they return home, they found out the kids could not speak their language anymore. And how can they communicate with their kids, with their grandson and granddaughters? If we don't call it genocide, what should we call? Because that generation lost in that society, and another generation could not communicate with them. The Chinese government create a new generation. And the third, the Uyghur culture targeted. For example, that the Uyghur culture, like mosques, destroyed. Like according to New York Times, 16,000 mosques destroyed. 16,000. And people cannot practice their culture anymore. And how can, like, without our, like, we call ourselves Uyghur because of we speak Uyghur, we practice tradition, and we sing Uyghur song, and we like practice Uyghur culture. That's why we are Uyghur. And without those value, without those spiritual elements, we are the same. All of us are the same. Like, we are different because of we have different rituals, we have different customs, we have different culture. That's why we are different. And if we speak the same language, how can we say that we are different ethnic group? The ethnic group, like in China, there are like traditionally like 56 ethnic minority. Now, most of them disappeared, just like Uyghurs. Yes, it happened in China before. It happened to Miao, Hmong, and it happened to Zhuang. They disappeared. No, it's our turn. It happened in China. It's happening right now. Like, target an ethnic group deliberately, target their culture, target their language, target their way of living. If we don't call it genocide, what do we call it? It is a genocide.
Of course, I mean, we can suppose that officials from CCP would deny that genocide in any kind. But of course, we know that it seems that quite a lot of evidence prove that these measures are really there in Xinjiang. We know that. But according to the CCP, they will say that these measures are necessary in the sense that it's a measure against terrorism and against extremism. How would you react to this? Because it seems that the CCP is trying to impress the world that Uyghur is a kind of terrorist all over Xinjiang, right?
Yeah, like always after this, 2001 September terrorist attack, those dictatorship government claim their enemy or their potential enemy or their imaginary enemy are terrorists. Extremism, like in the world, we have like fundamentalism. It's our human nature. Like we have in China, we have fundamental Confucius ideology. It exists. And in different society, there are some people who hate the reality and they wanted to go back to the history. It's a common human nature. When we cannot solve the problem, we will look back and we will look our ancestor, what they have done. This is the reality. This is the human behavior common for every one of us. But if that become ideology, if that ideology became action and target another people, that's different story. For example, that you believe in Christianity, but you shouldn't use Christianity as a weapon to kill me. No. So like people feel fundamentally it is okay. It's understandable. But you shouldn't use that fundamentalism or like fanatism to kill, to massacre It's not acceptable. Yes, something happened in China. Like Uyghur did it. That's true. Like in 2013, October 28th, there's terrorist attack happened in front of Tiananmen Square. But do you know that guy, he has Chinese wife? He has Chinese wife. He has 2 kids with the Chinese wife. The guy who commit that suicide, he has Chinese wife. He has 2 kids. Why he did that? Like, how can we say that he used Islam as a weapon to kill other innocent Chinese? Maybe it's become revenge. He already integrated with the society. He already had a Chinese wife. And how he took that extreme action? Let's look back. Let's think about similar event happened in Chinese society. We have seen that, like Chinese kindergarten being attacked, Chinese elderly citizen being attacked. It's not a terrorist activity because of it's not done by Uyghur. The same, yes, it is terrorism, but if something done by Uyghur, Chinese government say it is terrorism. But if that tragedy committed by someone else, non-Uyghur, Han Chinese, it's not a terrorism. If we call it terrorism, we should call the same. We shouldn't use double standard. In Chinese society, the class conflict exists. Like people who are living in the city and people who are living in countryside, they have different policy, they have different treatment. So there is a conflict between people who are living in countryside and who are living in the city. And the people who are like white collars and blue collars, they have conflict. Why we always conclude class conflict or different income conflict, we call it terrorism because of its Uyghur. I don't deny some terrorist attack done by Uyghur. Yes, they have done. I hate that. I condemn that. But the problem is, if it's the criteria, we should use not only to Uyghur, to Han Chinese as well. Because criminal is criminal. There is no anything we can defend that criminal. Yes, criminal activity is criminal activity, but we shouldn't claim different people for different term. If that criminal activity done by Han Chinese, we call it's criminal activity. But if the criminal activity done by Uyghur, we call it terrorism. It's unfair. And another thing that, yes, like in Uyghur homeland, natural resources and water resources controlled by ex-PCC, like Xinjiang Construction and Production Company Force. And like local people, the native people, they couldn't enjoy the prosperity in Xinjiang. They couldn't enjoy the natural resources, and they couldn't share the resources from the central government. And they feel inequality. And how can you let Uyghur feel that they are living as a citizen like their neighbor? Because they have different treatment. And this kind of different treatment trigger some tragedy. It's natural. Because if we have oppression, we will have reaction. That's really natural. But that reaction, you conclude that terrorism, yes, it is a terrorism. Yes, it is. But you should conclude all as the same term. But you shouldn't different, like Uyghur dead, terrorism, Han Chinese dead, not terrorism. This is unfair. And another thing that, yes, even very small group people, like a small group of people, not 50, and did that. And how can you put millions of people in concentration camp? Yes, some terrorist attack, it doesn't justify what Chinese government is doing. Yeah, like in everywhere in the world, like a criminal activity is everywhere. And how can you like criminalize an ethnic group because of a few people who has done that criminal activity?
Yes, it seems that you argue that terrorism in Xinjiang have been exaggerated by the CCP to justify its improper or unjust treatment to Uyghurs in Xinjiang. Am I thinking it right?
Yeah,
yes.
You're right.
Yeah. Then when how would you say that? Last time when I talked to Professor Kumakura, he said that even though this measure seems to be quite strong or even oppressive to some people, but all these measures have been quite popular or supported by the majority of Chinese in recent years. How would you react to this situation, and how would you convince people in China to look into the reality of Xinjiang more closely and not to buy the situation according to the propaganda of the CCP?
I have lived in Chinese provinces actually longer than Uyghur cities. I have studied in Beijing 5 years, and I have worked in another Chinese province, Gansu, for 7 years. And I have many Chinese friends. And I don't believe majority of Chinese people support what CCP is doing against Uyghur. Like we have seen that Badri Yundong, it's a white paper movement started. It's because of that tragedy happened like last year, November 24th, the fire happened in Urumqi, and 44 Uyghur burned to death in that fire. That triggered Chinese protest, and I hope we are all human beings, and we are neighbors and friends. I hope they will understand, and I believe they will understand. The another like only thing, we cannot reach them because of the barrier, because of Chinese Communist Party created China as a digital prison. And like we cannot reach the majority inside. And even not only we cannot reach the people inside the Chinese border, also we could not reach the people who are outside the border. I have talked to Chinese students in Bergen. I'm living in Norway, Bergen. And they protested in front of us. They are holding Chinese flag and they are calling that we are liar or something like that. At that time, I went to them and I asked them that let's put ideology behind. Let's talk about family. Now we are living in the same city. Now you are using WeChat. And I'm using WeChat too. Let's call our family. Can you call your family? She said, of course I can. Okay. Why I can't? Why I can't call my family using WeChat? Why Uyghurs could not use YouTube, could not use Twitter, could not use Facebook, could not use WhatsApp? Why I can't reach my family? Let's forget about anything. Let's forget about everything about politics or everything. Let's talk just as a kid, as a parent, as a human being. Like at the time, she didn't agree with me, but I believe she will recall. She will regret. Now, like the people who are living inside China and outside of China, they are using WeChat. They are using Douyin. Even their body is living in the United Kingdom and United States and other countries, but their soul is living in China because they are following CCTV and they are watching like Jinri Toutiao, and they are watching Chinese Weibo, and they are using all Chinese digital technology. And how could they believe what we are talking about? Because the like WeChat, you can use, you can buy products, you can order food, you can do everything with the WeChat. Like even in United Kingdom and even in France, you can buy a ticket using WeChat. They don't use anything but we are using. And how can we communicate? If we communicate, we should use the same platform. Then we have a chance to communicate. They are using WeChat, we are using WhatsApp. They are using Youku, we are using YouTube. All of the social media, they have Chinese version, and they keep using that Chinese version. And we are using our version in outside of the world. Now the Chinese dictatorship, not only in China, it's around the world through social media, through WeChat, Douyin, those social media apps. So they are living in artificial world. So I don't blame them because of their living artificial world. But I believe that through conversation, through explaining, through telling our story, they will understand, they will follow, and they will maybe take action to support justice. I don't want them to support Uyghur. Support justice, support your heart, support the reality. Thank you.
I'm very moved by what you say, and I do understand very clearly that the whole design of the Chinese internet, the whole social system is designed to attract people to stay on the same platforms, remain in the same circle, do not step out their comfort zone. And they're doing it magnificently. So just to put it that way, overseas, like you said, they still use WeChat even when they're out of China. There are still overseas police stations where they go to when things are happening back home that they need to deal with. And there's like surveillance that's being encouraged among each other. So they monitor each other and then they report to authorities. And they just stay in the same circle, which is very convenient. So going out of that comfort zone will require their own incentive. They would want to have to reach out in order to be able to know what's actually happening in the world. And we don't seem to have much hope counting on their own to be able to step out the comfort circle, right? That's the impression I get from what you're saying. But is there anything else we can do, like as Hong Kongers outside of the country, or as foreign governments, or as international organizations? Like, does the effort like the Uyghur Tribunal help, or will the UN, can the UN do anything? Because there is the Genocide Convention, as you said, many countries, all the countries that actually agreed into the Genocide Convention actually have an active role to prevent genocide from taking place, not to stop it after it happened, but to prevent it from the first place. And there is like other convention, like UN Convention Against Discrimination, and so on. There are so many tools that should have been useful for the situation, but they're not been utilized yet. Like, can I ask, what is your view on that? What are the things that we can do to help you guys? And what are the things that governments should have done but have not yet done to help you?
Yes, unfortunately, we have enough international agreements and conventions, but the problem is it didn't work this time to Uyghur. It's really sad. But I think we can do it. I believe everyone who listen to us, who participate our event, everyone can do it. For example, that we can tell the story like human being. We are a storytelling animal.
Yes.
And yeah, we can tell, like we can tell what's happening. And another thing that every one of us, we are using our wallet. It's ours. And when we buy something, we should check, is it linked to forced labor? I didn't say that, is it made in China? No, the Chinese people are innocent. I don't want to harm any innocent Chinese laborers or Chinese company or something. Just think about it, that is that product linked to Uyghur forced labor? It's really easy. There is a forced labor check. You can do it. You can do it in a second. Just check it. When you buy something, just check it. Is it linked to Uyghur forced labor? And the third, that we are living in the Western world and it's a democratic society. We have rights to write the politician in our neighborhood, elected by our neighborhood. Like they should urge their representative in the United States to talk about it. And we should write our politician to talk the issue in city council or the parliament, because those representatives have rights to ask the government what's happening in the world and what's happening to other people like us. And they have that rights. That's right to our representative. That's right to our parliament members or politicians to talk about it. They care, because of we are holding, not only holding the wallet, we are also holding the vote. Our vote will force them to speak up. And the fourth, that there are around the world different organizations are working on, and there are like for example Xinjiang victims database. Jean Bunin, he's working really well, and we have different organizations who are campaigning to stop, to prevent this genocide, and we can help them. We can volunteer our time, and we can volunteer our money, and we can do. So like every one of us can do something, and every one of us can contribute, and every one of us can stop this genocide, because we are actually participant of this genocide. What we are doing, because of we are buying their products. That's why they are holding millions of people in concentration camp, because they work free. They work for nothing. That's why those products incomparable. Like if you buy the same product, like let me explain one thing, that there is a like a Huawei modem, like the Telia Norwegian company introduced me. It is 1,040 kroner. And I said, no, I don't want that Huawei modem, because Huawei is complicit with the genocide. And the camera, they participated. And the like face recognition technology, they participated. So I don't want that Huawei. They said, okay, we have Nokia. Nokia is 2,090 kroner. Double expensive that Huawei. And it's our choice. We can choose Huawei and let them rich and rich. And we can also choose Nokia. It's our choice. It is the same reality. Like because of our greediness, because of we prefer to buy something cheaper. And then Chinese government put millions of people in labor camp, concentration camp, and free like forced labor camp. Because of us, we need that cheap products. Shein, we need that everywhere. That's why they put those millions of people in a concentration camp. So it's our responsibility to stop it, because we are the participant as a consumer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I would like to further question. Of course, we know that in recent years, quite a lot of people trying to tell the story of Uyghurs and let people in the world know more about the reality in Xinjiang. But you are also working overseas on this line. But we know that the international in some international platform, the voices of the CCP are becoming stronger and stronger, and they would react quite forcefully to stop this story from being told. And you, as someone working outside China as an activist, trying to tell the story of Uyghur, are you personally facing some interference, or are the organization you contact with facing some form of infiltration from CTP to stop you from telling your story and stop you from advocating for more international support and sympathy to the situation of Uyghur in Xinjiang?
Let me tell you the recent example.
Mm-hmm.
We are showing a documentary about Uyghur genocide in Bergen. We are holding there is a Bergen International Film Festival, and the documentary All Static and Noise is showing in Bergen right now. And Thursday is the first time we show that documentary. In that documentary, in the theater, there is a guy who filmed the Uyghurs who participated the documentary, and he texted everything what we told to somewhere. Like my wife took a picture when he is texting, because my wife seen that it's Chungo Dashiguan, blah blah blah, and then CCTV, blah blah blah. My wife has seen that, and the participant of that documentary terrified, and I didn't tell this to other Uyghurs in Bergen, and because of I don't want them to be paranoid, because I want them to watch that documentary. I want them to be brave. If I tell that there is a Chinese someone who came to film the Uyghurs and film the audience, and how can people dare to go there? So this kind of interference is part of my life. So now I don't really care. Like for example, that I gave a lecture in 2019 at the Bergen University, and I faced a quote unquote student who said that you are lying, blah blah blah. I received the phone call, we can wherever you are, we can reach you. There is in 90s there is a Uzbek activist from Uzbekistan killed in Stockholm, in Sweden. And the guy who called me used the same example. Look, Russia killed, he said Russia, not Uzbekistan. Russia killed the guy in Stockholm. Russia killed the guy in England, in Britain. We can do the same. Now China is more stronger than Russia, and how can we do that as Russia did before? But I don't really care, because if they can do it, they don't talk about it. If someone can do something, they never talk about it, they do it. Those Chinese agents calling me, questioning me, or asking me questions, or just want to stop me, they are doing this because of they are weak. They are calling me far away like 10,000 kilometers away because of they are weak. If they can do it, they can do it. So I don't really care. Like I visited Central Asia. People all afraid that, oh, you visit Central Asia. Let them arrest me. Yeah, let them do it. Let's test the world. Let's test the power of our democracy. Yes, the world cannot save millions of Uyghur in concentration camp, but let them see, can they protect specific Uyghur, the individual, from the Chinese persecution? So I don't care. I don't care. They call me, they threaten me. I don't care. Let them do it. Let them show their true face. Let them show their evil face through kill us, through persecute us, through do whatever they want to do. I don't care.
Would you recommend the same kind of mentality, that's very brave, and say, I'm not afraid. This is part of the work that I do, so I will live up with it. I'm very happy to show the true face of the CCP to the world. Would you recommend this kind of mentality to us, to Hong Kongers? Because we're not in such a tragic situation. We're far beyond like any kind of comparison with Uyghurs, but we are in diasporas right now. We are suffering from some sort of transnational repression, not as bad as the Uyghurs, but we do suffer from the same enemy, which is the CCP. Would you recommend Hong Kongers to face up to infiltration and harassment the same way? Because a lot of the times we are quite troubled by the fact that our families get threatened, we get into trouble ourselves, we get calls and we get attacked by CCTV or something. And personally, it gets to me from time to time. Like I feel worried about my friends that are still back there. Do you recommend that we should all adopt that kind of mentality and say, I don't care, I don't give a shit, let's just do what we're gonna do? Is this like easier for all of us to face up to the challenges that CCP poses to us?
I think this is a real concern, because we know in recent years, of course, we are not yet comparable to Uyghurs, but we know quite a lot of people leave Hong Kong just because the oppressive approach of the CCP in Hong Kong, and many people who stay in UK, in Australia, in Canada, they just wanted to go back to visit their family members and friends, so they stopped saying anything about the CCP and about the situation in China, not to mention the situation of Uyghurs. And this is a real concern for quite a lot of people. And the Chinese and the CCP is also using this to take advantage of this. Say, for example, some people outside China, some Hong Kong people outside China are being wanted by the CCP, and their family members have been harassed by the CCP in Hong Kong, right? I think you are lucky that you are not yet wanted by the CCP, right? But how would you encourage people outside China, Hong Kong people, Uyghur, and other people, try to voice out their real concern and try to tell the story of different group of people, Hong Kongers, Uyghurs, to the world, to make the situation more apparent to the outside world, and to make it a check against increasing oppressive approach of the CCP in China.
Thank you for asking this question. It's not only the case for Hong Kongers, and it's the same case for Chinese dissident and Tibetan and the Mongolian and all of the oppressed people outside. Everyone, we are the same. Like not only this recommendation for those Hong Kongers or Tibetan or Mongolians or Chinese dissidents or my Chinese friends, all of us are the same. And the same platform, we are struggling for the same thing. The fear is what Chinese government created, and it's what Chinese government are using against us. For example, that they are going to control us through fear. Like if we stay back, if we retreat, if we avoid, they take next step. For example, that first, they called me in 2020, January 8th. I remember really clearly. Because at that time, I'm leaking the Karkash list, the list that enlisted 3,000 people detained in concentration camp. It's Chinese government document. At that time, they called me that, why are you keep telling Karkash and the people arrested or something like that? And we can reach you wherever you are, and just think about this, think about that. And yes, I got afraid. Yes, it is the reality. But can it help? If I afraid, if that helped me to relieve, yes, I should. But it couldn't help. I said that. I keep telling this. I want you to stop. I want you to tell your government to stop what they are doing. And then I can stop. First, you stop arresting Uyghurs. Stop harassing my family members. Stop torturing those innocent people. Then I don't need to do this. And like those people, actually, those people who call you are also innocent. They are also victims. Just think this perspective. They are not animals. They are not evils. They are just a human being like us. They actually, most of them don't really want to call us because of it's their job. Why do we feel angry because of someone innocent, someone just working for them? Another that if we listen to that guy, the next guy will come up. He will ask next question, and the third guy will come up. And your fear become bigger and bigger and bigger. At the end, you couldn't even go out. You couldn't even go to protest. This is the technology they developed. Like reach you and then ask you and then stop you. This is their process. This is their step-by-step. This is their technology. If you ignore once, if you reject once bravely, no, I don't. They will not take second step. They will not take third step. They control every one of us through fear, through threat. But in the reality, can they do it? No, they can't. For example, maybe they call you that if you go to the protest, I will do you this and that. Let them do it. But they couldn't. They just make you afraid of them. If we're afraid of them, yes, that's what they wanted. And another thing that they harass your family members, that's true. But if you listen to them, they harass another family members. They harass another one. If when you harassed and when your family members harassed, if you say no, and then they will not do the same technique to another people. So it's step by step. Like they put us in the trap, step by step, step by step, step by step. At the end, we trap ourselves. And during these conversations, some of the people keep that conversation with that Chinese intelligence service. I know. I have even seen them in Turkey, in Belgium. I have seen those people. How they started. They reached them with the WeChat. And then ask questions. And then ask them to send the pictures. And ask them to send the money. And then ask them to take a picture of the protest of Uyghurs and Hong Kongers and Tibetans. That's step by step. Why don't you reject at once? One, the first thing is, if you follow them, it will not save you. If you answer their question, it will not save you, never. It will put you more danger. It means that you are weak. It means that they can use you. And then they take that next step. So we should say that, yes, what we have done here could not save our family members. Yes, that's true. We couldn't save individual, like any individual Hong Kongers, any individual Uyghurs. What we are doing is to save the people there, not individual Wang or Zhang or anyone else. We are working the people who are living there. We are working for the freedom we enjoyed and the freedom we will get. And if we think about any family members and how can we keep all of our family members safe, who can guarantee this? No one guarantee.
Yes.
No one guarantee. Like, oh, okay, if I stop my activism, can I guarantee my family members safe? Who? No. No. Even in China, there is a guy who worked for 20 years as a national security. He got arrested. Like a Chinese guy who worked for this Interpol, he got arrested. No one is safe. Chinese government never give any guarantee to those people who didn't speak up, who keep silence. No. Yes, we don't have any guarantee to save our family members, but we can't have any guarantee to protect our family members. So there is no cause and effect. If we do this, it will happen. If we will not do this, does not happen. No. It doesn't matter you do or not. It doesn't matter you speak up or not. The oppression is not against because of you are Hong Kong or because of you personal as a Uyghur. Because of you are in that group, you belong to in that people. It doesn't matter you are Wang, you are dissident or something like that. So as a person, you always think something is from our personal perspective, like if I do something, it will happen. It will happen if you do something or don't do something. And another thing that they will test your courage. They will test your personality. Yeah, Chinese government testing our personality, testing our human dignity. And yes, if we pass this test, we will feel different people. Like, I don't believe those people who followed Chinese agents' instruction to follow the order from far away from Beijing. I don't feel they are psychologically healthy. Their personality already twisted by those traps step by step. So if you want to be a normal, healthy human being, don't follow instructions from Beijing. Don't afraid agents from Beijing. Just live as a Hong Konger outside. Just live as Uyghur outside. Just live as Tibet outside. You are targeted because of you are not Tingson, you are not Zhang, you are not Abduweli. You are targeted as a Tibetan, as a Uyghur, as a Hong Konger. It doesn't matter you speak up or not.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
I agree that it's a very important point you make. No matter we are Hong Kongers, Uyghurs, or any person, any group which are targeted by the CCP, we have to be without fear. That's important. It made me recall a piece of news I read in early September that a Uyghur scholar who had been engaged by top officials of the CCP, she had been in prison for life with reason unknown to us yet. And I read from previous news and some previous photo that she had been engaged by Wen Jiabao. But still, she was in prison for life without any known reason. So fear is not a solution to the situation we are now facing, both for Uyghurs and Hong Kong, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Any additional comment from Glacier? Yeah.
I'm very moved,
Okay.
and thank you very much for speaking to us. Thank you.
Yeah, we are really moved by your sharing. We hope that you are going to be without fear to work along Hong Kongers in the future, and we are looking forward to have more opportunity to exchange with you, so that we can encourage each other and to be an alliance to tell the story of Hong Kong Uyghurs and Xinjiang. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, both of you.
Thank you. Looking forward to see you again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.